Alright, today I want to talk about clickbait. This is a little bit of a response to several comments that I've got on videos that are talking about clickbaiting titles, clickbaiting thumbnails. And before you turn off, I just wanted to mention the reason I want to talk about this is because I have now done this full time for almost 7 years. And I've seen a development in what works and what doesn't work on YouTube. And I feel like I'm actually in some kind of position to be able to give some insight into this subject. And it might help, I feel like it might help people understand why things are titled the way they are titled, not just on my channel, but on many other channels that do this to a much higher degree. If we launch into it, and we have to go right back to like when I started, even before that, obviously. But back in the day when social media was a really new thing, like we didn't have touchscreen phones, we didn't have data plans that went with us everywhere that were affordable, and we were really limited to being on a PC. We basically had one platform back then, which was MySpace and some internet forums. And it's a very slow way, it's a slow version of social media compared to what it is today. So back then, if you wanted to get views or if you wanted to entice someone into watching or viewing your content, all you had to do was title it accurately because there wasn't that much content out there in that format. You could literally say Sluicing Gold on Reedy Creek, Australia, and people would find it because it'd have keywords such as sluice and gold and a well-known gold-bearing creek all in the title, and you would be able to find that subject. But now the algorithms have shifted, and they've shifted because of the saturation of content. If you think about how much content is out there, then you have to be aware that the algorithms that are feeding you that content need to keep up with that oversaturation. And what I mean by that is they need to be able to deliver you relative content to what you normally would watch. And they do that by monitoring engagement and then also your search habits. Now, there are a lot of people out there that will have things like VPNs and whatnot that keep them relatively safe from targeted advertising and things like that. But the whole reason that you get an advertisement for something on, say, Facebook is because your search habits marry up very nicely with the database that they have with people searching similar things. So they're able to target you correctly. And that's also how they feed you video content. So if you've watched this type of video and this type of video, and every time they show you this type of video, you avoid that one, well, then maybe you're interested in gold prospecting and they'll put that video in front of you. But because it's an oversaturated market, it's the creator's responsibility to get you to click on that. So if we do everything correctly on our end as a creator, the algorithm will put that video in front of you, and that's what we hope for. But it's a competitive space, so I have to give you something to warrant your time, because you could go anywhere for this, right? It's a dime a dozen at this point. Now, the most effective way of doing this, and the pioneers of this technique when it comes to social media were actually news outlets. Particularly, there was the first ever study in the world was done in 2007 with a group of researchers from Australia. What's that book called? It's a really good book. All Your Friends Like This. Read that book. It's super interesting. But they collected they collected the data of views and clicks across various MSN websites, and they viewed the trends with how they were titled and what the content was about. And what they found was that the news outlets had I've got COVID, so I sound like crap. The news outlets had the most success with articles that created what's called a knowledge gap. Now, a knowledge gap leaves you wanting, and it forces you to click. I'll try to give you an example of that off the top of my head that's currently full of COVID. A knowledge gap like that I use quite regularly is something, "You won't believe what I found under this rock," right? That leaves a small gap of, "Oh, what was under that rock? I've got to find out," and you click. Now that's a very tame and benign version of clickbait. It's not inaccurate, and this is why you can do it on YouTube. It's not inaccurate because you're not saying, "I found a 40-ounce nugget under that rock," and then you don't show any gold, or you don't show any nuggets, or you don't find that 40-ounce nugget. That's a lie. The clickbait is creating that knowledge gap. So news articles do this with, "Tonight at 6, we've got this top breaking news story," and they usually give you a synopsis of it, and then they'll say, "Hey, I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this." They'll give you a series of articles that they're going to present in the first 30 seconds, and the one that you really want to see will lead that. They'll lead that. So it'll be like, I don't know, asteroid hits continental USA, right? And you'll want to see that. And then they'll lead with another 5 stories. And then they'll make you watch 3/4 of the show before they put that article in. And the reason they do that is to create that knowledge gap. It'll force you to watch so that you can see that one article. That's what a knowledge gap is. Now, the second most effective thing to do when it comes to inverted commas, we're going to deal with this in a second, inverted commas clickbait, besides creating a knowledge gap, is come on, brain, work. You've created a knowledge gap, and then the other thing is teaming. That's the one I had to right on the tip of my tongue. Teaming. Teaming is a really interesting phenomenon. Again, it came out in this research that happened in 2007. Teaming is forcing you to pick a side, whether you want to or not. It's interesting working in this industry because now I've become very super objective whenever I see anything pop up in my newsfeed, because I know what they're doing. I know what it looks like behind the scenes. But teaming is the idea that they want you to do one of a couple of things, or multiple of a couple of things. They want you to pick a side, and once you've picked a side, they want you to virtue signal that side to other people by sharing, liking, or commenting. So it forces you to comment. So if they put a horrific news story up, so like a mass shooting in a school, you're going to get 2 sides of a debate straight away, right? You're going to have like pro-gun people, and then you're going to have anti-gun people, and they're going to branch off into their forks, and they're going to have battles in the comments because of a salacious headline that creates a knowledge gap. And that battling of comments drives the algorithm because people are engaging with it. It'll put it in front of other people. That is teaming. That's what teaming does. And it can be really, really nefarious how they do it. And it's all in how the sentence is structured, usually around the title, is what will create that teaming thing. There's a lot more to that than I'm going to go into today. So, when it comes to titling a video and creating a thumbnail for a video, you have to go on to the days when I could title it 100% accurately, as in, like, I used to just give a description of what was going to happen in the video. Now I have to create a knowledge gap. And the reason I do that is because I make a living doing this. So I don't apologize to anyone for making money. It's just the same as me coming to your job and criticizing you for the way that you work. This is how I make my money. I'm not going to make apologies. I've never lied in my titles. My titles have always been accurate. Whatever was in my title has happened in the video. There's a real problem with true clickbait, which is what people, I should make that a distinction. There is a big distinction between clickbait, which is creating a knowledge gap and trying to get viewers or people who are engaging with your comment to team, and nefarious clickbait, which is where you don't have any of the stuff promised in the title or the thumbnail in the actual video itself. And there's YouTube and Facebook policies around this that if you're found to be doing clickbait, that nefarious type where you lie, then they can demonetize you, they can kick you off the platform, they can delete your channel. Like, it's really, they take it really quite seriously. So it's an interesting line because now a lot of people think clickbait is what I described first, creating a knowledge gap and creating a situation where people are going to engage in your content by forcing teaming. It's purely to entice people into watching your video. I put in hundreds of hours every single week into doing this. Like, besides all the field work of prospecting, and besides the actual days spent filming, there's all the editing, then there's replying to comments, and then there's all the back end stuff that I've got to manage on YouTube, and then I've got to keep up with laws and privacy policies and things you can and can't do on those algorithms and blah, 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 blah. We're looking at like somewhere between 80 and 100 hours a week where I'm doing this every single day. Every single day. It's a lot of work. And so I want people to watch the content that I produce, and the way that I can do that is to create effective clickbait. But there are two types, and it's worth knowing that there are two types, because I don't feel like one of them's bad. I feel like getting someone to pick a side or getting someone to click on your video because you've created an enticing and entertaining thumbnail is exactly the same as what you would get on a TV show. The only difference is people on a TV show, people in movies are far more accessible than what we are as content creators on platforms like YouTube and Facebook. It's a lot easier to get hold of me than it is to get hold of Tom Cruise. There's a deeper level of trust, a deeper level of connection there between your viewers and the person who creates it. And I feel like some people feel that they're being taken advantage of because they read a title and they don't necessarily understand why that title's been created that way. But at the end of the day, I gotta eat. I gotta put a roof over my head. I gotta pay my bills just like everyone else on this planet. And the platform that I make my money on, the way that I make my money requires me to do this in that kind of way. I am by far not the only one, and I make really tame clickbait compared to a lot of people. Dan Hurd makes a lot of clickbait, for one. He makes heaps of it. And again, he doesn't make nefarious clickbait. You can see it in his titles. What he has on his titles is 99.99% of the time exactly what's in the videos is the same as me, but it's presented in a way that makes you want to watch. And it's the same as people like Paulie and Levi and so on and so forth. All those people create clickbait so that you guys will watch their videos, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as they're not lying to you. And the lie is where it becomes nasty. So just be aware there's a big difference, and that's why it's being done. Right, I'm going to go rest my voice. Have a great day, everyone. Bye!